In 2015, the United Nations came together to discuss actions needed for the world to become a more sustainable place. And during this conference, they made the Sustainable Development Goals, or otherwise known as the SDGs. Hi, my name is Ethan Parker, and this is going to be the first of multiple videos discussing the SDGs. In total, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations to be completed by the world by the year 2030. And they are: no poverty, no hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economical growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reducing inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water and life on land, peace, justice and institutions, and finally, partnerships for the goals. As you can see, there are a lot of different goals set, and that would definitely take way too long to discuss in one video. So for this video, I'll just be showing you the ins and outs of the first sustainability goal: no poverty. Well, SDG number 1, no poverty. Sure, it seems like a great goal, but what is it? How do we even measure something like that? Thankfully, the United Nations, they've made handy aims and targets for helping us reach the goals by 2030. The first one being to eliminate all extreme poverty, which is measured by the statistics of how much money a person can live on a day-to-day basis. Extreme poverty is living on anything below $1.25 a day. And just for reference, the world poverty line at the moment, it's at about $1.90 a day. In 2015, roughly 10% of the world's population was living on less than $1.90 a day. And now, 10%, that sounds bad, yes. But it's worse when you remember that the world has 7 billion people living. That means over 700 million people from around the world are living in extreme poverty just 5 years ago. Now today, in 2020, the world has lowered the workers living in extreme poverty down to about 7.1%, and the global extreme poverty percentage was being brought down to about 8.2%. And the second aim for SDG 1 is to have social protection systems in place for everyone, including social protection floors. Social protection is systems or programs that have been put in place to help provide basic financial benefits to ensure income security and access to healthcare. There are many of these systems in place around the world already. For example, in Australia here we have Medicare and Centrelink. However, this is only one section that we kind of struggle with the most. Just 4 years ago, in 2016, it was recorded that only 45% of the world's population had any access to any sorts of these benefits. That's 55%, or 4 billion people, that did not have access whatsoever. What's worse is that only 22% of the world's unemployed workers have access to any sort of unemployment benefits at all. So we can see just how important these social protections are from the effects of the 2020 COVID pandemic that is currently ongoing as of recording this video. Rapidly rising unemployment, secondary to the government lockdowns, will bring many closer and closer to poverty. In fact, it's estimated that nearly 71 million more people around the world will fall into extreme poverty due to this pandemic, which has caused the first percentage increase in poverty in over a decade. Well, you may be thinking, those are some big statistics. Why is poverty so bad in the world? There are many different reasons for poverty. One being more obvious is unemployment. But you may not realize that higher chance of contracting different diseases, which is only made worse by the lack of healthcare, can also indirectly cause poverty. Because once these people contract them, it's highly likely that it'll prevent them from being productive in their life. Poverty can also come out of factors due to lack of education, as without a proper education, one's likelihood of getting a job and learning new skills, it drastically drops. You may have noticed something there with that last fact. Education. That was a different SDG goal, right? Yeah, that's true, and like that, the next aim also ties into a different SDG. That aim is to ensure that men and women, in particular poor, old, and vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources, as well as access to basic services, ownership and control over land and other forms of property, inheritance, and natural resources. In fact, in some countries all around the world, some people don't have the right to these things. And in certain places, that rights withheld from certain genders and minorities. This goal aims to allow these people to have the rights that they deserve. You will see that there is a pattern emerging throughout the SDGs, that a lot of them seem to be intertwined with each other. That's because to be able to reach the sustainable world that the United Nations has envisioned, all of the SDGs need to be met, as each one can and will affect the other goals. Unfortunately, the current goal of completely wiping out poverty in the world by 2030 is not looking like it'll be met anytime soon, without taking into account the current goal, the current potential of pandemics. Before the start of 2020, the projections were that the global extreme poverty line would only drop to about 6%. That's still over 400 million people living on under $1.25 a day. So what can be done by us to reach the targets by 2030? What can we do on an individual level to help move towards the goal of zero poverty in the world? Firstly, we need the world leaders to put more effort into helping the developing countries further develop and to help them accelerate the rate at which we put social protection systems in place. On a more individual level, we can help by spreading the word to our local politicians, to our local businesses, to show them that the impact that needs to be done to make the SDG 1 to be achieved. Or if you want to be more active, seek out help to help out the different organizations with volunteer work. There are many ways we can help you. Well, thank you very much for listening, and I hope